WoW is by no means a perfect game. It has a lot of problems that the community are very quick to point out and then immediately pin blame on Blizzard. And this may come as a shock to you, but it's not always Blizzard's fault. We suck. The community is deeply flawed and is often just as culpable in creating these problems for the game. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you and I have participated in the murder of our favorite video game. First, let's take a second and let's talk about who is the WoW community. Every game has a community that forms around it, and naturally there are words that start to pop up to describe those communities. Games like Call of Duty have terms like racist or incel. League of Legends has things like toxic and maybe, just a tad little bit of tism.
Calculating, calling riot, checking, calculating distances. Red buff for Nunu, spit in its mouth.
Fortnite is childish and sweaty. Sounds like a place some people might like. Valorant is the home of e-girls and e-boys and also somehow misogyny. And WoW is no different, right? You have all these words that can be used to describe this game, but the ones that we're going to focus on are exclusive, counterintuitive, and psychotic. Maybe Andy a little bit too. I don't know. He's kind of chill, so I'm just joking. He's not chill at all. World of Warcraft can really make you feel like you're in high school all over again. There's this exclusive, just like you're not cool enough to play with us attitude that exists all throughout the game. And in my opinion, objectively makes the game worse. One of my favorite examples of this was incursion loops in Season of Discovery. I started spamming, looking for group in general chat myself, saying I was looking for a group for Ashenvale Incursions, and every time I joined a group, I would let them know, because I'm not a fucking piece of shit, like, hey, I've never done this before. It's actually my first time. I haven't been on Phase 3 till just now, and the first at least 4 or 5 groups that I joined, I was immediately kicked from with a message just saying, like, sorry, don't want to waste our time, and then being blocked by that group leader before I could respectfully whisper back that they should go fuck themselves. I didn't end up getting to do an incursion loop until I finally just broke down and I wrote a message and looking for group chat that read something like this. I'm looking for group, Ashenvale Incursion Loops. It's my first time. I don't know what I'm doing, and I need someone to help me. To which I was immediately invited to a group by a friendly man whose message just said, I'll show you the way. And I was just filled with this sense of, wow, what a nice stranger. He's gonna actually show me how these things work. And then all of that warm, fuzzy niceness immediately turned to just fucking hatred when he showed me what an incursion loop was, and it made me realize that this is the most fucking brain-dead piece of shit content that exists, and all these fucking groups before had the gall to kick me out. My attitude immediately changed. At first, I was like, oh my god, this nice stranger who's going to be nice and show me the nice thing, and oh my god. And then he showed it to me, and I saw how fucking stupid it was. And immediately, I was like, really? This is what you fucking kicked me out for? This is what you said I was too stupid to fucking do? Are you fucking shitting me right now, dude? For those of you who don't know what an Ashenvale Incursion Loop is, here's essentially what it boils down to. You run over here, and then you left click, and then you run over here, and then you left click, and then you run over here, and then you left click, and then lastly, most importantly, you run back to here, and then you left click. That's it. It like a fucking monkey could do it. My girlfriend, who has never played WoW before, if I had to go take like the shit of my life, and I could have just told her, Just do that. You're just gonna run here, and you're gonna right click on the mouse, and then you're gonna run over here, and you're gonna right click on the mouse, and you're gonna run over here, and you're gonna right click on the mouse, and then you're gonna run here, and you're gonna right click on the mouse. It's not complicated. The only semi-complicated part is the stupid envelope systems, which aren't complicated, more just annoying. But despite it being so simple, a literal monkey could be trained to do it. Group leaders would kick and scream if somebody had just logged on, so they didn't have any quests to share yet. They need to do one run of fucking like they just had to do that once, and then we'd be good to go. But oh wait, you haven't done it yet? Fuck you, get out of my group. Or you don't have this add-on, or you don't have this thing. Leaders would kick and scream and try to just gatekeep and say, no, you're not cool enough to play with us. You're not cool enough to run in this sick circle, bro. You can't do that. Like, it's frustrating. Parsing. This one actually gives me fucking IRL res sickness, bro. In Season of Discovery, I decided to play a priest healer. Season of Discovery was supposed to be this, fresh new take on classic WoW. It's this new approach, and I had never played a healer before. So I figured, in the spirit of SOD, let's try something that we've never done before. Similarly, in that attitude, something I've never done before, even though I've played WoW for a long time, is I've never done, high-level rating and parsing and, weekly heroic. That just wasn't me. You know what I mean? If I could clear a raid a couple times, get a few pieces of loot, I was satisfied. The game's beat in my books, and I wasn't really a weekly raider, have to get full everything and push everything, right? But again, in the spirit of SOD, doing things differently, I wanted to try to explore that region of the game. In learning how to become a healer, one of the things that I had learned about was downgrading spells, right? So using a lower level spell so that it doesn't use as much mana, and trying to achieve this perfect ratio of mana to heal, right? And I thought that parsing would be a way to kind of dig into that. Turns out it's way fucking stupider than that. Don't get me wrong, parsing can be that really cool number crunch analysis, fucking big brain, fucking stonks shit, but how it manifests in the actual game is just another exclusive piece of shit thing that we do. The number of times a player who has their prebis, can do decent DPS, knows the fight, is turned away from a raid because the raid leader looked up their WoW resume and then saw that the color wasn't the right color, and so told them to kindly go fuck themselves. It's just fucking dumb, dude. I have been turned away from so many raids because the person asks for my fucking logs, and I either at the beginning was like, what the fuck is a log? Or I would literally just be like, dude, let's cut the fucking bullshit. You need a healer. I have the gear. I know the fights. I have my consumes. Whatever the fuck. And you're like, nah, I'm still gonna wait for something better to come along. And then it usually does. Or if it doesn't, then you'll hit me up and be like fucking late night booty call, like, hey, you still want to fucking heal this fucking sunken temple, dude? And then me being the shameless little slut that I am, I'm like, fucking fuck yeah, dude. And I walk right into that thing and I fucking heal it. And then everything was fine. Why did we have to do this charade of pretending? Just fucking, why? But like I said, I wanted to figure out what the fuck this thing was. It is literally just a check on whether or not you did your homework. Did you farm all of your pre-raid bits? Did you go buy this juice box from the auction house? Did you go click on this flower? Did you go to the carnival this week? Did you? I would go, right? I was parsing a fucking abysmal, gray-green, maybe a blue, fucking whatever. And I'm asking this guy, I'm like, okay, what the hell am I doing wrong? And he literally comes up to me, he looks at all my gear, he's like, oh dude, your gear's great. You have everything. He's like, okay, before next week's raid, just go buy the juice box, go click on the flower. The carnival's out of town this week, so don't worry about that, and then come back. And literally just like that, without changing any of the actual buttons I was fucking pressing, without having to worry about that mana efficient, coefficient, freaking whatever downrank, without having, like, just literally rolling my face across the keyboard, I went from parsing a stupid number to a good number. It's good now. All because I clicked on the flower. Like, what the fuck, dude? I can understand, and I actually have a lot of respect for the people who want to live that, like, ultimate power fantasy and figure out, like, if I do click on this flower, if I do buy this juice box, what is the maximum DPS and the best I can possibly perform be? Like, I respect the people who are doing that level of theory crafting. What I don't respect is using that as this velvet rope that determines whether or not people get to actually play the game. Especially because that system is not perfect. I'll never forget, I was in a Sunken Temple raid where we had a healer who, at the end of it, we checked the logs and they had fucking parsed like 89 or something like that. But then when you actually look at it, what we realized was that this priest healer was getting 3 to 4 innervates a fight. He would literally just blow through all of his mana, just blow through all of his abilities, just trying to pump out as much heals as possible and then call for an innervate. And then do the same thing and then call for an innervate. And then do the same thing and then call for an innervate. So if that player wasn't in a group that had like literally 5 druids, he wouldn't have parsed that score. And not only that, that's not necessarily what the situation calls for. Like, that is not a good player. Somebody who's like, I'm just going to blow through all of my mana and then I'll just rely on an innervate instead of actually understanding, like, okay, we're in this phase, but I need to conserve my mana because there's going to be a big AoE freaking whatever that's going to, like, I'm going to see all of the little bubbles go poof, and, like, it's scary. Like, that is a good player who understands that versus this dude who just wanted to pad his numbers. His records are the equivalent of, like, baseball home run records when everyone was taking steroids. But yet, despite that, we use this system as a form of like, nope, sorry, you can't join our raid, and just this extra set of criteria that isn't even Blizzard's. Blizzard, as the game developer, it's their job to come up with the criteria on whether or not you or anyone is eligible for certain content. Like, it's Blizzard who's the one that's like, hey, you're a little too low level for this, or maybe you need to like get more gear, and they're the one that's supposed to control that criteria on whether or not players can do certain content. But for whatever reason, we take it upon ourselves to say, yeah, there's all of what Blizzard says, but I'm also going to like tack on an extra 2 or 3 or 4 requirements in order for you to join this group of people. Sure, you meet Blizzard's requirements, but you haven't met my requirements, and therefore I'm going to exclude you. Like, it really feels like you're the new kid at school, and your teacher, Blizzard, is like, hey, come with me, Billy. Like, we're going to go walk and see if those other kids will let you play with them. And then you walk over, and Blizzard's like, hey, kids, this is Billy. Can Billy play with you guys? And then the kids proceed to just fucking hiss at you and then throw fucking playground mulch in your face. And then Blizzard's just like, well, we tried, Billy. Maybe go start an ult or something. WoW is inherently a community-based game. It's an MMO. You are meant to engage with other players. If it wasn't an MMO, then they would have just made like a single-player Skyrim type experience, but they didn't. They made an MMORPG. But what you'll notice in the retail version of the game is that they have kind of started to roll back those MMO features. Now you can go through the entire game without ever having to interact with another player. That community aspect of the game is what made Classic feel so good and fulfilling and made it Classic. But Blizzard recognizes that they have a bunch of feral schoolyard kids as their community who don't always play nice, and so in order to make players still wanna and even just be able to play the game, they had to kind of roll back some of those MMO features, thus stripping away parts of the game that are like authentic and make classic WoW feel like classic WoW. And that's our fault. That's not Blizzard's fault. Our behavior stripped away a fundamental part of the game, and then we wonder why retail just doesn't feel like classic. In this gentleman's video, he talked about that very thing. He played classic a bunch, and then he transitioned over to retail, and literally like 80% of the way through his experience, he like looked up and realized like, oh, I haven't interacted with another soul. And he had been playing the game for like what, probably like a few months, a month. And he experienced that difference. He could tell, it's like palpable. Like I've spent a lot of time talking about this exclusive, you're not cool enough to play with us attitude. And where a lot of that stuff stems from is this idea of having to kind of like speed run WoW. The WoW community loves to min-max shit. We love to try to figure out the most efficient way to do things. We love to figure out what corners that we can cut to just absolutely speed run this game. As much as I've been shit talking up until now, like I do have a lot of respect and like a special place in my heart for the WoW community. Because there's a level of like engineering and creativity that exists, I think literally only within this community. There have been moments throughout WoW history that are just iconic, whether it be, you know, the whole freaking World Health Organization event of just like bringing diseases to major cities, or bringing literal freaking like overlords to major cities to just like kill everybody. And I think honestly, it's fundamental to the game to kind of have this level of like theory crafting of just like, how can I break the game? Like Blizzard's giving me this thing, but like, can I mess with it a little bit? Can I fuck it up like a little bit? At least a little bit, you know what I mean? Like that attitude is important. I don't want that to go away, ever. But that does also lead to just a lot of like horse shittery, you know what I mean? Like incursion loops where Blizzard said, hey, we're gonna give you all these quests that you can do. And then we went, okay, but if I don't do half of them, if I literally only do the ones where I run around in a circle and right click, my XP per hour is actually going to be better than if I do this. And genuinely I'm like enamored by that level of like analysis that we will literally do with the game. And I'm like, dude, I like your brain and the fact that it thinks that way or has the ability to think that way, but also you have actively ruined the game. Like you have actively turned the gameplay to just running in a fucking circle and right clicking. Which I'm gonna do it because I also want to level fast, but like, can we just all agree that like doing this is less fun than like the actual content? Like it's sad. It's sad to think about how we will act like Blizzard will genuinely put a lot of time and energy into certain parts of the game and developing certain content, and we will just fucking skip right past it because it's not as efficient. Like, that's sad, dude. That is so sad that there's literally entire regions of the game that you have probably never stepped foot in because when you start playing WoW or you level an ult, you start to Google these guides that say, here's what you want to do, or rested XP guides, which tells you, hey, this is what you're going to do. You're going to skip this shit, then you're going to sell this weapon at exactly this time, then you're going to buy this thing at exactly this time because we're trying to speed run this shit. We don't give a fuck about the artistry. We don't give a fuck about the culture. We don't give a fuck about anything. It's just about speed running this shit as fast as we fucking can. Hasbin Gold, who is the spokesperson for WoW at this point, and like the fucking witch doctor guru who tells us what we're supposed to think. You ever watch, you know, him and McConnell like doing a raid of any sort or whatever? They like jokingly / half seriously are like, okay, like we are doing this raid. I get all of the loot because I need to get all of it. That way I can quit the game. That's what they always say. Like, I need all the shit so that I can quit the game. And like, there's this rush among them and just also WoW players to quit the game as fast as possible, which is ironic. Like, supposedly we love this game. It's so counterintuitive for you to want to stop playing a game that you love. You're like, I need to blast through all this content. I need to get to level 80 as fast as possible. I need to get to max level as fast as possible and get all the gear as fast as possible. Why? So I can quit. It's like, don't you like the game? Don't you want to play the game and experience the game? It's like I'm working on a WoW video right now, right? Which is weird. Like, I don't like that. I'm not like a WoW channel or anything like that. I just had these thoughts that I wanted to share, and The War Within just came out, and I've been playing it, and it's been fun. But literally every single video that has come up on my feed around World of Warcraft, specifically The War Within, has literally been some form of the words, how to get to level 80 as fast as possible, how to level up as quickly as possible, how to gear up as quickly as possible. Like, don't take your time. Don't stroll, don't strut, don't look up and walk around and be like, oh, wow, cool. No, fuck that. Head down, just fucking blinders up. Sprint through this shit as fast as you can. It's like we're like binge eating WoW and then wondering why we feel like shit afterwards. I'll never forget doing Mara Wild Offering runs. Maybe like 36 runs in. On that last little strip towards Princess, I literally just like looked up. It's like, holy shit, this dungeon is fucking beautiful. And I literally stopped and I typed to my group chat and I was like, everyone stop. Look up right now. And everyone stopped. And they all looked up. And they're like, holy shit. And we all just started laughing at the fact that we have done this dungeon maybe like dozens and dozens of times, but this is the first time we have stopped to literally just look around. We all just stopped for a moment and talked about, God damn it, man, this is a gorgeous dungeon. What's your favorite dungeon? I really love the Dead Mine. So iconic, so fun. Wailing Caverns is so special. Like, well, we started to talk about this stuff and like actually played the game probably as it was intended to be played for like half a second before we killed fucking Princess and then went back to do this loop all over again. I recently watched a video where some of the original creators of WoW sat down and they played Classic. Pretty much what they had played through in that play session together was just like the beginning kind of quest line from human starting area through Goldshire to Westfall to the Dead Mines and like whatever, and just like that strip of content is so well curated because you can't really rush through it. Right? You are forced to play the game at the pace that was intended and was designed intentionally by thoughtful and talented creators. Which is why I think like level 1 to 25 is like the best part of the game. Hands down. It's probably why I start so many ults, because that first section, in my opinion, is like the best part. When you get your first green and you get your first blue and like whatever, it's so rewarding and fulfilling. But again, this attitude of wanting to play WoW like we're all at a Black Friday sale and have to bum rush content and like punch a child in the face to get a discount on a fucking air fryer, like that way of playing the game has stripped away that feeling of like pace and creativity and fulfillment. Once upon a time in Classic, if you wanted to like dungeon grind, you yourself had to go and find people. You had to go look up, use the little who function, figure out who's in the area. Oh my god, there's a warrior around here. Do we think he can tank? Is he tank spec? I don't know. Let me whisper him and figure out, hey, can you tank this dungeon for us real quick? Can you tank freaking Razor whatever downs? What the fuck does the F stand for? RFD. Razor something down, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm talking about, the shit with the pigs, right? And maybe you're lucky to get 1, 2, maybe 3 runs out of the group. Probably not, most likely 2, before somebody is like, hey, I have to drop. I'm gonna have dinner with the family. Oh, I have a wife aggro, like whatever it may be. Like they have to drop for whatever reason, and you were almost like just gently pushed back into the world and go, okay, go out and quest. Go experience the game for what it's supposed to be. But our desire, again, us as the community, our freaking knee-bent desire to just speedrun this game has led to like the looking for group function, which is super useful. And don't get me wrong, I freaking love it. But at the same time, the idea of like, I don't have to interact with another person. The game will literally just teleport me to the dungeon with a group, and then I can run through that group and then teleport me right back to where I was. Oh, you don't have the quests that are around this dungeon. You didn't go to the various parts of the world to actually get those quests and interact with those NPCs and do those quest lines. Don't even worry about that. We're just going to give them to you anyways. Oh my god, you don't even have a group that has like the same level of people. We're just going to scale things around. You're level 57, you're level 17. That's mostly the same digits. Fuck it, just get in here and kill shit. I don't know, dude. Like the fucking audacity of fucking WoW players sometimes. To play the game like that, to play it as it was not intended, and then complain about it is crazy. The last thing I want to talk about is PvP. In the same way that a player who wants their favorite game to be over faster is kind of counterintuitive and just like a little screws loose, that same screw being loose dynamic exists within the PvP section of this game. And by screw being loose, I mean there are no screws. These people are fucking psychos. Here is a normal PvPer's brain. Normal is a relative term here, but like somebody who plays Call of Duty PvP or Fortnite or, you know, League of Legends or Valorant or whatever, one of the many PvP games that exist. A normal PvPer gamer brain operates like this. We're in a 3v5? That's no fun. If they have a numbers advantage, they are not having a good time. If they are in a team of 5 and the enemy team has a team of 3, it's not going to be a balanced kind of back and forth that I want it to be. If you're in a Call of Duty lobby where literally like the enemy team is literally just like 3 people and your team is like 8 people, you're like, yeah, I don't really get to play the game right now. This isn't fun. This isn't engaging. That's a normal PvPer's brain. A WoW PvPer's brain loves that shit. Like that is their favorite shit in the world. These people are fucking psychos. Their favorite thing in the world is to be in a Warsong Gulch. They look at the player tab and they realize that the entire enemy team has just abandoned themselves. And so now it's just like 3 people on the enemy team. They're like, holy shit, let's go. We're going to camp their graveyard. We're going to sit there and we're just going to repeatedly kill them. We're not going to cap the flag. And for whatever freaking reason in Classic, they didn't think it was a good idea to put a fucking timer on this stupid game mode. And so we're just going to keep these fuckers here and we're going to kill them over and over and over again until they all quit. And then we can finally cap the flag and then win the game. Like that is not a healthy brain. And what's tough is that brain isn't just put into a PvP realm, right? Like you could theoretically go, okay, well, like that's a psycho, but at least that psycho is contained to the PvP realm, right? No, because that psycho gets let loose into the world of Warcraft. And they walk around and they just gank mercilessly at people who are just trying to play the game, and they just kill players for no reason other than to just scratch that psychotic itch. Now, like I get it, world PvP is fun, right? I'm not trying to say, oh, they shouldn't kill people out in the open world. Absolutely, they should. But what I mean by WoW players just like take things a little too far and they ruin the game is because, for example, in incursion loops, what would people do? They would camp the fucking quest giver, and anybody who tried to participate in this stupid form of gameplay that we have developed. We are also going to double down on our own stupidity. Oh, you want to run in a circle? Well, first you have to deal with all of these other Alliance players who have nothing better to do than to just sit there and kill anybody who tries to walk up to this NPC. To the point where it is like comical what Blizzard had to do to try to be like, what the like, what are you doing? Now I have to put in not 1, not 2, but like literally a million fucking guards to just try to insta-kill anybody who does this stupid piece of fuckery that prevents people from playing the game. World PvP is fun, but we take it way too far. You killed me. You got me. Cool. All right, cool. You killed me again. Okay, cool. Now there's a fucking res sickness timer, 20 seconds. I would really appreciate it if you stopped doing this. You know, you're 20 levels higher than me. There isn't really a fight here. I don't know what you're getting out of this, but okay. You killed me again. There's a 2-minute res timer now. I can't play the game because this piece of shit who has nothing better to do and doesn't have the fucking balls to join an actual PvP game mode, a battleground, has just decided to gank me and make it so that I can't play the game. That is not normal behavior. It doesn't make sense. It's psychotic. It is unhealthy. You need help. Go to therapy, my friend. World PvP is another one of those fundamental parts of the game, right? It's part of the secret sauce that existed within the classic experience that made things so special. Like, in the real world, seeing somebody, a player from the enemy faction, not being able to talk to them, the fact that it was intentionally garbaged and gibberish so that you can't talk to that other player, they are the enemy faction, is like a special smart design move. And those moments of tension where you're like, are we going to fight each other? Are we going to try and kill each other? Are we just going to wave at each other? Are we going to make peace when we could have theoretically started to fight each other? Maybe you do get ganked, dude. Some of the most special parts in this game is when, like, I'm level 30 and I get ganked by some level 60 or whatever, and then I put a freaking general chat message out saying, like, yo, there's an alliance dude that's really being annoying here. If you can't tell, I play Horde. There's an alliance dude who's being really annoying out here, like, can somebody help? And then a bunch of fucking decked out people being like, I got you, brother, and pulling up like literal superheroes and putting this dude in his fucking place, and you just there being like the lowly level 30 being like, oh my god, you're a superhero, thanks, mister, gee willikers. Like, that was a special moment, and then you then going on to become max level, and then seeing that same call to action in general chat being like, yo, this is my fucking time to fucking pay back, to do my duty. Like, that is special. That was a part of the game that makes you like, oh my god, that's a wow, and that makes me so happy. But that has been stripped away because of the stupid behavior of players. WoW recognizes in retail, like, oh shit, there's this behavior that exists where our players will kill somebody who's half their level continuously because they're a psychopath, and then that player doesn't get to play the game. Okay, so what are we gonna do to remedy this? We're gonna allow that player to actually just opt out of World PvP altogether. And then that special part of the game, it's just collapsed down to zero, it's just removed all together, and then we wonder why, damn, retail doesn't feel like classic anymore. Why? Because we did stupid shit, bro. And I'm just as guilty of this. I want to be very clear. I have ganked mercilessly. Would you believe me if I told you that this wasn't supposed to be like a shit-talking rant video and was supposed to be like a thought-out, well-articulated thought piece, if you will? I've obviously complained about a lot of things in this video, and I know that there are going to be a lot of people, right, those Andys that we talked about earlier, who are going to come out of the woodworks and just start talking so much shit. Oh, you can't parse 99, dude. Oh, you think 81 is a good number, man? Oh, what, you got ganked by somebody who's 30 levels higher? You're so pathetic, dude. You're so bad. And I just want to say, it's going to be okay. My friend, just take a deep breath. I promise we will get through this. It's going to be okay. I want to be very clear and say that, like, I have done every single one of the things that I have complained about. I have kicked people from groups because they're just too much of a noob and I don't want to deal with it. I have speedrun this game so many times and skirted so many. I've still never been to like probably half of the map because it's just not efficient. And I have definitely ganked people mercilessly just to be an annoying prick. But the whole reason for all of this isn't to just point fingers and say, oh, it's all your guys' fault, you guys. Like, no, like, we need to be honest with ourselves. Because I know that we all really love this game. I know I do, right? Like, this expansion, I'm enjoying it. There have been expansions in the past that I haven't enjoyed and some that I absolutely cherish. But at the end of the day, there will always be a special place in my heart for, like, any WoW expansion. It will always hold that caliber for me. It will always be special. And what I wanted to do with this video is to try and say that, like, it's okay to be critical of what Blizzard is doing. And if we want this game to feel like it's felt at its height, we have to acknowledge the fact that some of the things that degraded it, that kind of ruined it a little bit, are the things that we did, not Blizzard.